those in attendance. Council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published online via Council website. To those present in the meeting today, by participating in this public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor or the General Manager have the authority to pause the live stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory or otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Participants are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. I'll move to item 1.A, request from councillors to attend via video conference, for which there is none. I move to item 2, apologies and granting leave of absence. We've received one from Councillor Page. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that way.
Moved by Councillor Gallagher, second by Councillor Brown. All those in favour? Against? Declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. I'll ask Councillor Adams to say the prayer.
Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessings upon this council. Direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gallagher, would you please do the acknowledgement of country?
Yes, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners upon the land upon which we meet and pay our respect to those elders, past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor. You have the minutes. They've been circulated. Do I have a mover? Councillor Adams, seconder. Councillor Nolan. No debate. No debate. I'll put the minutes. All those in favour? That's declared unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Disclosures of interest. We have one. I'll just go around the room. Councillor Clark, you have a disclosure of interest.
Sorry. Yes, that's item 9, I believe, Madam Mayor, and it is report number 155/2020. It's a development application.
And you'll leave?
Yes, I will leave the room. Thank you.
So is there no further conflicts of interest or disclosure by councillors or staff? That or accept that? She did. Councillor, you said why. Did you, sorry, just go back. Did you have to record why there was conflict of interest?
Yes, as I live in the area.
Yes, that was it. Thank you, councillor. Everybody's going to chair the meeting tonight. Councillors, I have a late mayoral minute. My apologies, but it goes hand in hand with today's deliberation. This is the assignment of delegation to our new general manager. It has been circulated and I'll move this mayoral minute. In doing so, what I'm asking of the councillors is that the general manager's delegation of authority and authorisation pursuant to Part 3 of the Local Government Act 1993, Section 377 and 381 be issued to Mr. J. Nankivell to commence on the 1st of April 2021. And 3, that the role of the acting general manager during periods when the general manager is sick or otherwise on leave be a decision for the general manager in consultation with the mayor, with the acting general manager being issued the general manager's delegation of authority and authorisation pursuant to Part 3 of the Local Government Act 1993, Section 377 for the period of the general manager's leave. Do I have a seconder for that?
Make a comment, Madam Mayor. We haven't had any time to read.
Sorry, just get the seconder, sorry. Councillor Adams is seconding that. Yes, your comment, Councillor.
I'm just saying it's been given to us when we walked into the building. I've not had time to read it. I know from just scanning it quickly, it may be a repeat of previous delegations, but I'd prefer to have time to read it.
I know, thank you for that, councillor, and I'll just explain that the delegations for the acting general manager finishes this week, and because we have appointed a general manager, we had to put the general manager's delegations in. Otherwise, we will have nobody to delegate to. So it is goes hand in hand with the appointment that we did at the extraordinary meeting.
Well, we could have had that this afternoon, Madam Mayor,
Yes,
and
could have.
time to read it.
thank you.
I'll speak against.
Thank you, councillor.
Look, I'm pretty sure that it probably is the same as what we've read before, but like Councillor Aldgate, I don't like things being handed to me a minute before, and it's a breach of the Local Government Act to provide this in any other circumstance other than a mayoral minute. And what's actually happened is the mayoral minute, because councillors haven't had the time to digest this, we could be voting on anything, probably very unlikely to be voting on anything that's detrimental. But as a councillor, I don't know this because I haven't had the time to read 20 pages. To be given a document that's 20 pages in length, when we got here, which was at the beginning of the public part of the meeting, which means I hadn't even opened it up to have a look at it until just then, just not acceptable from a councillor's point of view to get this without even knowing what's in it. I had just enough time to read the summary on the first page. So there's 17 other pages I don't know what's in there. And I think it's completely unacceptable. And for that reason, I must speak against it and vote against it.
Thank you, councillors. Any speakers for?
Could I have a question,
Councillor-
Madam Mayor?
Yes. what's the
And that
question?
is, does anything within this document pertain to duties that the general manager may need to take up tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh.
And it is no changes from the normal delegations to a general manager. It hasn't been amended. I take, but we need to have it in place because the general manager's position comes into place, and it was we need to make sure that's endorsed. Thank you. No
The
further.
question then,
Yes, councillor.
if that is the
Kennedy.
case and there's no amendment, why weren't councillors provided this weeks ago? Like honestly, if there's no changes, why would anyone think it's acceptable to give this to councillors now? This could have been given well before we appointed a new general manager. This could have been actually in the agenda items of the council business paper, saying these will be the delegations. We all knew well in advance there was going to be interviews today and a general manager appointed. Why wasn't this in the agenda or given to us well in advance?
Good point. Thank you, councillor. If there's no further debate,
I have a
I'll put the
question, Madam
motion.
Mayor. One question.
Councillor Lacour.
Yeah, my question is, what is the situation if this motion does not get up, if it's not accepted by the council?
Mr. General Manager, what does it mean if you don't have any delegations to act tomorrow?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, basically that there'll be no position of the General Manager and won't be able to run the organisation.
So, sorry, is there any debate? I don't want to go into
Yes.
questions and answer.
No. Could I propose that we have an extraordinary meeting tomorrow? A brief one, might only be 10 minutes. By that time, I would assume all councillors would have read it.
There is a process for requesting an extraordinary meeting. You could defer the motion, but tomorrow morning we still are left with a problem. So, way forward. Councillors, I have a motion in front of you. I'll put the motion if there's no further debate. All those in favour, Councillor Norman, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Turley. Against, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Aldgate. Thank you for your patience and understanding, councillors. Item 1, we go to notice of motion. Item 1 of notice of motion which has been given dated 6/21, page 30. Councillor Kennedy,
Yes, I'll move the notice of motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
seconder.
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Do you want to speak to your motion, Councillor Kennedy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move this motion after consultation with several members of the community, after being approached by several members of the community. What councillors need to take into account when they vote on this, Broken Hill being named the first heritage city of Australia, is not just about buildings, it's about the people that live here. All councillors would know, even today when we met with one of the applicants, the first thing she noticed about Broken Hill was the fact that how friendly we are as a community, how welcoming we are as a community. What makes us unique to other parts of the city, other parts of Australia, is that Broken Hill's heritage includes the people that live here. These are people that have caught the bus in the same area for 50 years, an area that's most of the time not even had a seat. I see from the report, it's not a delegated bus stop. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be making sure that we do what we can to promote people in this city so we can sell it to tourists. Because what is important is the characters we have in Broken Hill, the people that are warm to our hearts. They're the people that we believe makes Broken Hill different. I see in there's mention of people should actually pass away before anything's named after them. This isn't the first time. We have the Victory, and can't think of the Council Adams would know, at the Picton Oval. We named that grandstand after those two people a considerable time ago. At one stage, it was even considered to name the whole of the Picton Oval after those two people that have worked on that committee for a long time. This is not a new precedent. It's something that's happened before. It's happened to honour the people that mean something to us as a community. These three ladies mean a lot to the West Football Club and Railway Town as a whole. I think this should be one of number of people where we acknowledge people that are still active in the community. We do honour people with volunteer awards and all this sort of stuff, but that's only known amongst the community. This is an opportunity for us to sell Broken Hill's heritage, not just buildings, but as a livable city with living people there that mean something to us and hopefully mean something to people all around the nation.
Thank you, Councillor.
Madam Mayor,
Amendment, Madam Mayor.
Oh, sorry, what's your amendment, Councillor Adams?
I'd thank Councillor Kennedy for reminding me about the Victory O'Neill stand. I have a suggestion that we have an amendment, and that the application be referred to the assessment to the asset naming committee and have it go through the proper channels for there. And there's quite a lot of work that has to be done, but at least we could get started on that.
Seconder to your amendment. Councillor Gallagher. Do you want to speak to your amendment, Councillor?
Just that this can be difficult at times. You think of an awful lot of people that could be acknowledged in some way within our city. I know that I actually went to school with these girls or ladies, and I know that they are loved in the Railway Town area. I know also that isn't, out of the goodness of a bus driver's heart, it's sort of become their bus stop. I just feel that it's very simple for us to say tonight, well, yes, we're going to do that, but it does have to go through the asset naming committee. There are rules there about having support from organisations as well as individuals, and rather than us say willy-nilly here tonight that this is what's going to happen, why not do it in the right way And hopefully, an outcome would be acceptable to everyone that way.
Thank you. Any speakers against the amendment?
Yes, thank
Councillor
you,
Kennedy?
Madam Mayor. I do acknowledge and appreciate where Councillor Adams is coming from. The main issue with my motion is actually point 2, and that is that there be seating and a bus stop installed at the site. The number 3 area, the number 3 that I've written down in the paragraph, I thought would just be a nice accompaniment to what is a bus stop, that those ladies stand there without any shelter, without a seat. The reason the bus driver was so concerned, and as Councillor Adams said, it's became their bus stop over that time. It is a bus stop where there is no seat or shelter. So it's fine for us to wait for naming committees to name it. But I think those ladies and everyone else would rather have the seat in the bus stop as opposed to acknowledgement. The acknowledgement is more a drive from what I believe council should be doing to promote the city and keep that uniqueness that we have. What is important to the bus driver, and I'm sure those 3 ladies, is that there is a bus seat and a bus shelter at that stop. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Speakers for the amendment?
Just a question, Madam Mayor, and perhaps Councillor Kennedy might be able to answer. Is it a recognised bus stop?
No,
If it-
no, sorry, it's not. That's one of the issues, I think. Not a, Mr. General Manager?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. No, it's not a recognised bus stop. The closest recognised bus stop was in the report, which is the Gypsum and Pell Street.
Thank you.
So further question then, Madam Mayor. Is it up to council to establish it as a bus stop, or is that up to the bus company or traffic committee, maybe? Should it be referred to the traffic committee to see if we
Sorry.
can get a bus stop there?
Okay, Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It's certainly up to the bus company and Transport New South Wales. Transport New South Wales would designate bus stops, so that conversation would need to occur.
Do you want to include that in your amendment? No, okay.
Well, Madam
Okay, I
Mayor,
need to deal with the amendment first.
yeah, Madam Mayor, would Councillor Adams consider adding to her amendment that this matter be referred to the Traffic Committee as a matter of urgency to start the ball rolling on a bus stop and a bus shelter, noting that we do have an asset management plan that's in development
Yeah,
that covers this area.
I would accept that, Councillor Cool, but I will accept it. But I will also say the GM has mentioned a bus shelter further up in the corner of Pell and Gypsum Street. But I noticed today that there is already a bus shelter and stop outside the tourist park there in Rackhow Street, which is almost the same distance from where the ladies live to where we're talking. So, but I would accept that. I'll accept that it be referred to the Traffic Committee as well. See what they say.
So we have Councillor Adams' amendment is that the applicant that an application be referred to the Asset Naming Committee for processing, and that, sorry, it's not very big, that the matter be referred to the Traffic Committee as a matter of urgency with regards to the designation of a bus stop with seating and shelter. Okay, good outcome. Thank you, Councillor. There's no further debate. I'll put the amendment.
Right a reply, Madam Mayor.
Right a reply.
Spoke against an amendment. I spoke for my motion, and after all debates finished, I have the right of reply. Thank you. This is an opportunity for councillors, and will remain an opportunity for councillors to give back to the community. One of the things mentioned was it's not a designated bus stop via the New South Wales Transport. or the bus company. That may be in paper, but it's been a bus stop for 50 years. 50 years these ladies have been picked up. It's fine to talk about going to Rackhow Street, which is about the same distance from houses and all this. If someone's been picked up there for 50 years and people in Broken Hill know it's 50 years, then it becomes iconic to those people and to the people around that area. For council to dismiss it as perhaps we can go to Rackhow Street or it's not a bus stop, council can put resources into areas. It's already a bus stop in reality, maybe not in name, but in reality. 50 years being picked up at the same spot, to me, from the bus company that does it, tells me that it is a bus stop. What is the difference between that bus stop and other bus stops is there's no seating or shelter. The Broken Hill City Council can provide, we own the streets, we own the footpaths, we own the roads, we own all of it. If we want to invest in infrastructure, we can. We don't need New South Wales Transport to confirm it. If we build a shelter there, it still won't be designated as a bus stop, but I can tell you right now, those ladies will continue to be picked up from there. The bus drivers will continue to pick them up from there. If we have it named, it still might not be a bus stop via Transport New South Wales, but to everyone in Broken Hill, including the bus drivers, including Ros, Barb and Pat Gauzy, it will be a bus stop where they can sit down and have shelter. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment, Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Shelley against, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate. I'll put the amendment. Councillor Kennedy, do you want another?
No, I thought, sorry, no,
Okay,
I thought that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour, Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Shelley against, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate. Thank you, councillors. We move to item 3, motion of which has been given, number 7/21, page 34. Councillor Kennedy.
I thought this was a very good idea when, I'll move the motion, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I've got item 2. I'm sorry, councillor. The deputy mayor thinks she's chairing the meeting. I'm reading item 2. You're moving the motion. Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. I'd like to speak to the motion, councillor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I thought this was a very good proposal, and it's a proposal to establish a community operated gardens at the former Alma Pool site. I'm sure that many sitting around this table remember when it was voted to close the Alma Pool and eventually the removal of the Alma Pool. It is becoming overgrown, and this is an opportunity for council to minimise their maintenance operations in that area, at the same time return what is an ideal piece of land back to the community that may be operated. I'm sure that there's already half a dozen or more people that are looking at the community gardens, and that may even go into a little bit further as far as use for sustainable growth, perhaps even vegetables and that sort of stuff. So that works in well with the Broken Hill Cities Council's idea of sustainability. It also works in with our Green the City program. I think that this is another opportunity for council to deliver to the community and have the community want to be involved in helping and beautifying our city. And it'll be a missed opportunity if councillors do not support it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillor. Item 3, motion of which notice has been given, report number 8/21, page 36. Councillor Kennedy, do you want to move that motion?
I'll move it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Seconded.
I move this motion again. I approached by members of the community, and I'm sure I'm far from the only councillor that has been approached about street lighting. I'm sure our new general manager would know of many requests for extra lighting in streets. And I do acknowledge the comments from the general manager about having a good plan as far as making sure our lighting is consistent and we do it in an organised fashion. The reason I find these two areas so much more important than, well, probably not so much more important, but more pressing than other areas, is that the line of load, particularly Federation Way, is very poorly lit. I'm sure if anyone drives there, they'll see that it's quite well lit where the train tracks are, and you can see how much easier it is to see. It would only take 3 or 4 lights to increase that or fix that area to some extent. It wouldn't have to be a massive amount of money. And the same with Holton Drive. Holton Drive is another area that is considerably dark and would have great benefits to people that often drive along the backtrack road for safety, etc.
Thank you. Any speakers against?
I'd like to make an amendment, Madam Mayor, if I can.
What's your amendment, councillor?
Certainly accept points 1 and 2. Remove point 3 because we note that the rollout of the LED street lighting has already started, and a report at the July 2021 meeting of council would be a little premature and not give enough room for the rollout to be completed. I think it's expected to be completed by July this year. New point 3, excuse me. New point 3, and that at the end of the rollout, the Southern Lights project include an assessment of any further need for street lighting, including the lighting to the roads in part 2. That would be the Holton Drive, McGillivray Drive, and Federation Road, Federation Drive.
Okay. Do you
Thank
have
you.
a seconder for that? Councillor Nolan. Councillor, would you like to speak to your amendment? Councillor Clark.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I note here that in our report that the LED rollout, which is going to provide the city with a greatly improved lighting, it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be brighter, and certainly a lot smarter for us. And that this has already started. So it rather makes redundant the point 3. We have to give that rollout a chance to be completed, which is expected to be completed by July this year. And then I would certainly hope that we would have an assessment of all the lighting to be able to ensure that all streets have adequate lighting, that the lighting is tested to ensure that it is bright enough, that it is not too bright, and that all streets have access to this lighting, including the roads that have been mentioned here, Holton Drive, McGillivray Drive, and Federation Drive. But there would possibly be other streets which may also need to be included in that assessment.
Thank you, councillor. Speakers against?
I just make, well, I speak against but
Thank you,
really-
councillor Gate.
really to make a comment. I don't see why we need to rely on people from out of town to tell us where we should and shouldn't have lights. I mean, a suggestion has been made about three particular places. I don't understand why we can't run with that immediately. And if there's a need be to improve the lighting in that area or other areas as a result of this rollout, well, so be it. But why wait? We spent $750,000 on putting that sealed road up to the line of load, and now we're quibbling about a few lights. I just don't understand the logic in relying on others to tell us where we should have lights or otherwise.
Thank you, councillor. Is any speakers for the amendment? No speakers for the
I'll
amendment?
speak against the amendment.
I haven't got a speaker for it.
As the mover of the motion, I have a right to speak to every amendment, Madam Mayor. I
So
say
you're going to
this every
speak
time.
against it,
Yes.
councillor?
Councillor Clark made the comment that number 3 is redundant, which is the council prepares a report to be tabled at July meeting of council with the time frame and costs of installing adequate street lighting to all streets in the city. I'm not sure what Councillor Clark's amendment was. It sounded pretty similar to what I had to say. But my motion at number 3 is certainly not redundant. The LED lighting that is proposed, light emitting diodes, that is proposed for street lighting is to replace the street lighting we have. The LED lighting is cheaper because it's the same amount of brightness for less wattage. Maintenance costs are also less, as they tend to last 50,000 hours as opposed to 5,000 to 10,000 hours. The reality is what's proposed is to spend $1.7 million replacing existing lighting to reduce our operational costs. It will not improve street lighting. It will save council money on electricity costs, which will allow us to spend additional money lighting additional areas. As I said earlier, the general manager, I'm sure, would know just about every place in town, and if he doesn't, there will be members on the council workforce that know exactly where lighting needs to be put in this city, as the same people that have complained for 20, 30 years. Lighting in Broken Hill is an issue. It's not an issue in July when we can get some consultants to pay for it. It's not an issue next week. It's not an issue once we've got LED lighting to replace the existing lighting. It is an issue now. It has been an issue for 30 years. It is probably one of the most common complaints councillors should receive from the community if they're listening to the community. People feel unsafe in poorly lit areas. And I'm sure our councillor, Dave Gallagher, who is also a policeman, knows perfectly well that poor lighting contributes to crime. The less lit up an area is, the more likely your car is to be broken into. It's more likely for you to be mugged, robbed, raped, etc. Poor lighting results in crime. It results in a less safe city. When councillors were given a presentation on how to make council assets safer, it wasn't CCTV that made council assets safer. What makes council assets safer is good lighting. The same applies to the community. Good street lighting provides safety and security for members of the public. And to dismiss my suggestion that we get a report in July about the costs of adequately supplying lighting to all areas that are needed in Broken Hill as redundant is offensive to the community.
A point of clarification, Madam Mayor, which I think I am entitled to. Councillor Kennedy seems to be suggesting that this rollout will commence in July. It is to be finalised in July. It is already
Thank you,
underway.
councillor.
Right.
Thank you, councillor. I
Because
think
my name
councillor
was
Kennedy,
mentioned, Mayor
sorry,
Turley,
councillor
point of
Kennedy is aware of
clarification.
the report.
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't have
Yeah,
any
no.
misunderstanding.
No, I know you're aware of the report, councillor. Thank you. So we have councillor Clark's amendment. We've had a speaker against, no further speakers for. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Lucal, Councillor Adams, Mayor Turley. Against? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Gallagher. The amendment now becomes the motion. Councillor Kennedy, would you like to?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll keep it pretty brief. As I've said, most of what I've had to say, but this is another opportunity missed by the council. The amendment that's passed is not dramatically different to the original motion, but what it sends to the community is, instead of a council that's working together for a common goal, it sends a message to the community that there's definitely two sides. Why there would be amendment moved to change the date from July to another date, I don't know. And the people of the community would be asking that exact same question. Instead of this motion being about improving lighting, improving outcomes for the community, it was again about an amendment, about certain councillors being the ones that made the decision. And at the end of the day, the community are getting frustrated with it, they're sick of it, and it will have an impact. It disappoints people. What the people in the community want to see is better lighting and better outcomes.
Thank you, councillor. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Adams, Mayor Turley. The motion's carried. Thank you. We'll move to item 4.
What about the against?
Sorry? Oh, sorry, against.
Yeah.
Sorry, my apology. Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Gallagher. Thank you. Item 4, motions of which notice has been given. Report number 9/21, page 39. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move the motion as written.
Seconder.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Councillor Kennedy, you want to speak to the motion?
I do want to speak to my motion. Before I speak to my motion, Madam Mayor, I would ask through the chair to the General Manager if he would like to explain what is proposed by the state government come 1st of July as far as rates go.
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Kennedy. I believe the changes in the rating legislation haven't been confirmed when they'll come in. It's either going to be 1 July 2021 or 1 July 2022. However, the changes will, in effect, allow councils to rate industrial separately to businesses without a subcategory to capture all industrial land, and also allows council to place different rating categories on different areas of residential land as opposed to being pulled as all as a residential group. So that will fix a lot of the inequalities we do have in our rating system. And if it did come in on 1 July 2021, it would be well received and welcomed.
Thank you, new General Manager. No acting. So I thought that was important because particularly some of the councillors that have been involved on the council a long time know some of the issues we've had with the inequity in rates around residential areas, particularly in some of the further north areas. Now it's Brown Street, who we are looking at $4,000 plus. It was a relief to hear that. I will go as far to say I was excited to hear that, and I believe the General Manager probably agrees with that. It is a big outcome, and it is going to have a huge impact on some of the people that are mentioned in here regularly during rating periods, and that is single pensioners that are living in high rated areas and their ability to pay. So that may be down the track, and that's a positive. But back to the motion as a whole, hopefully that does happen on the 1st of July 2021, and I'm sure our new general manager will make sure he finds out for us. But what we do need to do is actually start working on particularly the Cananda Road precinct. Hopefully we can rate industrial different to business, and this will allow us to also take care of some of the other land areas that are separate from the Cananda Road precinct. But what is quite clear is that the increase in that area is unsustainable and has caused a lot of angst to those businesses. I would hope that the report is available to councillors well before we're in the process of setting rates. What I'd like to see also is a report on options for the areas such as Brown Street, so that we may be able to give some rate relief there in the short term, with the new legislation giving us the opportunity to address some of those issues in the long term, not just for Brown Street, but for Cummins Street and Wyman Street and those other high paying areas around the city. It was always pretty clear that the Valuer General's hands were tied as far as having any impact on reducing rates in a particular area. The Valuer General has been to Broken Hill countless times trying to help out the Broken Hill City Council when it comes to addressing the rating inequality between different areas, and the advice is always the same. The Valuer General values the lands. Council is bound by the legislation which requires in residential areas council to set rates in the dollar amount as well as a set amount, and that is at the highest we can have it, which is 50%. So it leaves no room to us to address the inequalities with residential, but we have an opportunity now to address the inequality with the increases in rates out at Cananda Road by making it a separate rating category. We can do this as of now. When the new legislation comes in, we can add other businesses to it. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor.
ask a
Move an
question?
amendment, Madam Mayor.
What's your amendment, councillor Nolan?
Quite understand where councillor Kennedy's coming from. This is just an attempt to simplify it. Have in the notice of motion retain dot point 1 and replace it with a shorter point as dot point 2. Broken Hill City Council recognises the review of the city's rating structure has already commenced and reaffirms the process. Reaffirms.
Reaffirms the process.
Yes,
Is that it?
that's literally it. I'd be happy to speak to my motion.
I'll have is there a seconder? Councillor Brown? Councillor Nolan, you want to speak to that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Kennedy has already rightly pointed out and as clarified by the General Manager, fairer rating reforms have already been introduced to Parliament, New South Wales Parliament. That happened the week before last. However, Parliament's now in recess until May, but we know where this is going. I've got a release from Minister from Local Government, Shelley Hancock, and I'm happy to circulate that. One of the dot points says it allows councils to create more flexible residential, business and farmland rating categories to enable them to set fairer rates that better reflect accesses to services and infrastructure. So we're in the business of getting on with it. I realise that things don't always go according to plan. That's why we have Plan A and Plan B and so on. So in our planning process, I believe we will plan for changes to rating categories and a much fairer rating system that should not only be restricted to Cananda Road and the areas mentioned by Councillor Kennedy around the north end of town, but right across the board. So I look forward to that process occurring, and that is a big pardon.
Can I ask the question?
Thank you. That's finishes.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Allgate.
I'm just wondering, there's been a lot of discussion about rating special areas, and the intention, I hope, is to reduce the rates in those particular areas, because at Canada Road at the moment, those increases were just laughable. There are some places in Brown Street where the rates out there are just ridiculous. And
Absolutely.
but the other thing is that there's such a disparity of rates in Broken Hill. It's not just those that some are too high. There's a lot that are too low. So I think there should be some sort of balance. I think it's wrong in some ways to, well, first of all, I think it's wrong to charge the rates that we're charging in Brown Street and some Cummins, Wyman, and some at top end of Oxide and whatever. And Canada Road. I'm every Sunday, a particular businessman asks me what we're doing about it. I'm pleased that I can tell him something a bit more positive. But I think the problem is, as I said, larger. Some people are paying peanuts, others are paying a fortune. If you look at the difference between some of the larger blocks in Brown Street compared with some of the blocks in South Broken Hill, it really is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And whatever is done, I think there needs to be some sort of balance introduced, and there not be any massive changes overnight. You know, that's the $14,000 to $16,000 increases in Canada rates overnight was just bloody ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Thank you, councillor. So any speakers against the amendment? No speakers against?
Yeah, I'll speak against.
Councillor Kennedy.
Council has an obligation not only to do the right thing, to appear to do the right thing. Optics is everything. My motion spells it out quite clearly that council's going to do something. The amendment, all it points out to the community virtually is wait for a report. That's what it says. That's how people take it. There's a big difference when the community don't sit here and watch every council meeting, watch every breath and hear everything we say. All they see is that council voted against reducing rates at Cananda Road and attempting to set Brown Street rates at the right amount, or at least look into it to see what we can do. The community sees council not doing the right thing. We have a situation where construction certificates are 24 months behind. How do councillors think that that appears to the community? It appears that council's not doing the right things. Then when you move on top of that, we appear that we're not looking after businesses out on Cananda Road, even though eventually I think the right, and I hope eventually the right resolution comes out of this council. But it could have came out a lot sooner, and it could have spelt it out quite clearly to those businesses in Cananda Road and around the city that the Broken Hill City Council does care about businesses. Very difficult to argue that we're a pro-business council when we appear to do nothing. Construction certificates are 24 months behind, 18 to 24 months behind. I have never, as a councillor, seen such pessimism from businesses in this city, and that's saying something. When you have businesses that are so pessimistic, all of a sudden investment stops. People move out of town, people lose faith in a council. All, from what I can see, is a point scoring exercise. We all know that eventually councillors will agree with the motion that I moved near 6-8 months ago, that Cananda Road rates will go down to the rates of 2019 plus rate pegging. We all know that's going to happen. We all know that councillors will eventually vote for what I moved 8 or 9 months ago and give relief to those businesses. But this is about politics. This is about trying to take credit for something another councillor moves. I can assure the community that eventually, without all the hype and all the rat tricks of the council meeting, the councillors will unanimously vote at some point to reduce Cananda Road precinct rates to 2019 levels plus rate wet pegging. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. If there's no further debate,
Madam Mayor, I'd like to speak.
you're
the motion.
speaking for the amendment, councillor, yes.
Yeah, totally reject parts of what Councillor Kennedy is saying, that we're not doing anything. Yeah, I dare say this whole council is going to vote to reduce rates and do a fair and equitable distribution for all ratepayers, industrial and residential. Look, it's in the report. We're doing the thing right now. We're working on it. And we're preparing draft rating models to review the entire rate structure for Broken Hill. And that's to ensure there's fair and equitable distribution. And that could be inclusive. It's right there, black and white, of an option for a subcategory for the industrial area. That's going to be workshopped with councillors during our budget workshops in April. So we're doing something. We're not leapfrogging, bouncing all over the place. We've got a concrete plan in front of us and we're going to do it. We're going to take action and we're going to work on it. And that's going to be presented as part of the draft 21-22 operational plan at the April 21 ordinary council meeting. So this council is working on it and we're working on it behind the scenes, and the community will see us trying to do something for the betterment of the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Cool. Any further speakers against? If not, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Turley. Against? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate. The amendment now becomes a motion. Councillor Kennedy, did you want to write a reply?
Yes, I do. I probably would have let it go, but Councillor Cool made comment, so I will have a right of reply. Behind the scenes, community doesn't see behind the scenes. What they say is what happened here. A well laid out notice of motion that delivers what the community wants, and I believe will more than likely after 8 months or whatever, councillors will agree with what I brought up and have argued several times. I will say again, optics are important. I didn't say councillors were doing nothing. What I did say is the perception of doing nothing is as bad as doing nothing. The perception, 1, 2, move 1, receive 2 in the, which is now the motion, is a report. Similar thing, but to a community that appears like nothing. Councillors might not like that, but the reality is the community aren't as involved in the decision-making process as councillors are behind the scenes. And I'm glad the behind the scenes happened only after I moved a motion for it to happen. So the behind the scenes probably would have never happened if it wasn't moved a long time ago and made it an issue. Because again, we're spending all this time on notices of motion that I bring forward. How about some of the other councillors, if they're so behind the scenes engaged, bring up their own motions, and rather than amend mine all the time?
Thank you, councillor. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Nolan, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Turley against, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate. Thank you very much. Thank you for the motions, councillors. We'll move to item 9, rescission motion for which none has been given. Move to item 10, report from delegates. Item 1 is report number 1/21, page 43. Councillor Nolan, are you moving that way?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Seconder, Councillor Brown. Councillor Nolan, do you want to speak to your motion?
That would be my pleasure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The actual report can be found on page 63. In the papers, it's been preceded by some important attachments, but if you could join me on page 63, I'll refer you to that 4-page report. There's a number of things that are important for Broken Hill in this report, so please take the time to look through that, and I know many have. Some of the highlights, I guess, is the lobbying that we've been doing around mine rates so that we can continue, as all councils can continue, those that have mines in their area, to set the rates accordingly to best reflect what the town requires. There had been a move which would have affected many other councils far greater than Broken Hill to chop mine rates and place an additional burden on the community. That's not going to happen. I've got a letter here from the Honourable Shelley Hancock MP, who is the Minister for Local Government, and I'll just read the last line, which is, I can advise that the government does not have any intention of seeking to amend the Local Government Act 1993 to limit how mining land should be rated by local government. So that's very good news for Broken Hill and other mining affected communities. So other than that, I'd be very happy to take any questions anyone would have or any clarification that anyone would need about the report itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Mayor.
you. Speakers against?
Just to say well done to Councillor Nolan.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. I value your comments.
And tonight commences the lobbying. So thank you, everyone. So I'll put Councillor Nolan's report. All those in favour? Carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We move to reports. Report item 1, Broken Hill City Council report number 28/21, correspondence, Menindee Lakes project, page 69. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Kennedy, seconder, Councillor Clark. You want to speak to that, Councillor Kennedy?
Yes, I will. If councillors could just look at page 71, which is paragraph 4. The minister more or less says that Broken Hill City Council isn't interested in being on that group.
Sorry, I just couldn't hear you.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I was back a bit further than normal. But I believe that Councillor Brown is on that group, and the minister needs to be told that council has been, I forget when it was accepted, probably in about November or something like that. So the minister is well behind, and I think if I could just add to my moving there is that we write back to the minister and let her know that we do have representatives that have been, and I think Councillor Brown could probably add to that a bit better, because I think Councillor Brown's actually had trouble getting in contact. Yeah, they haven't. So I'll just, if the Mayor doesn't mind, if I could just hand over to Councillor Brown to let her know what, or I'll move it and Councillor Brown can adjust it.
So we're just going to your motion, and we'll include that council writes to the minister to advise that the Broken Hill City Council does have that Councillor Brown is a Broken Hill City Council representative on the
and
advisory committee.
has had no contact or something like
And
that.
has-
I know
yeah.
that.
Councillor Brown, do you want to add comment to that?
All I was going to say, Madam Mayor, is that we may have an opportunity during the Western Division Conference when the Minister will be in Broken Hill. So I think that, I know sometimes they come and they go very quickly, but it may be that we can take the opportunity to speak to the Minister about this, but it's probably not the most important thing that we need to speak to her about, just about to continue to restate our concern about what's happening with the lake. So she's has no misunderstanding that of the strength of our views about that. So this could be certainly part of that.
Okay, so we'll include that in the motion. Councillor Clark is the seconder. You're happy for that to be included? Okay, and then we'll take on notice that to take the opportunity when the Minister is in Broken Hill to raise this as well, but we will write to the Minister.
Yeah, so I'll just keep with my speaking. So I think it's important that the Broken Hill City Council does that, because the response is a little bit curt. It's more or less saying that the council hasn't taken the opportunities that we should have to be involved in this process. We've made it quite clear to the Minister that the 106 gigalitres is not acceptable. I do believe that the Minister has looked at removing that 106 gigalitres saving. So our correspondence has had an impact on the Minister, and perhaps Councillor Gallagher can speak in a little bit more detail about that. But from a council perspective, we need to make sure the Minister understands that we are all have an investment in the lakes and the water, and all councillors have made it known that they are interested in the Menindee Lakes. And Councillor Brown and I think Councillor Gallagher or someone was the backup person, or Councillor Page.
I think Councillor Page.
Yeah. So there is councillors that were very interested in being part of that group, and the Minister knows that needs to know that as far as water goes, it is the one thing that all councillors speak with one voice.
Thank you, councillors. Any speakers against the amendment? No speakers against?
That's not makes. Yeah, I'll leave
Are
that.
you speaking against,
Not
councillor?
speaking against, but
Okay, thank you. So we'll put the amendment, put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declared it carried. Thank you. And you're completely, it does unite us, the issue of water and the Menindee Lake scheme and the Darling River. Item 2, Broken Hill City Council report number 29/21, correspondence report, late motion to the 2021 National General Assembly. This is, councillors, with your indulgence, this is asking if we would incorporate this motion relating to JobKeeper. Do I have a mover for that? Moved by Councillor Brown. Seconder, Councillor Clark. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's fairly self-explanatory. I think it's important that we just move the motion as is and don't try and fiddle around with it, or specify a certain level of increase. The strength of a motion such as this, which I hope will get fairly widespread support from councils around the state, will be that it speaks with one voice and a fairly simple message.
Okay, is there any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 3, Broken Hill City Council report 30/21, page 76. This is council meeting arrangement. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brown?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I won't move the recommendation, but I will move that consideration of this report be deferred until after the council workshop in April. I believe that there has been a change to the government's recommendation, or the proposed regulation this afternoon. I think we need time to look at that. It seems from what I've heard briefly this afternoon that there's an acknowledgement that those very specific requirements for people to be able to access meetings remotely are too severe and too strict. So I would like to have an opportunity to workshop those, because I think that there are specific problems that we have as a border community, which I'm sure would be shared by many other border and regional communities.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Clark. Sorry, Councillor Clark. Are there any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put this motion. All those in favour? Against? Declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 4, Broken Hill City Council Report 31/21, page 92. It's the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee meeting. Do I have a mover? Councillor Gallagher?
Yes, I'll move that way.
Seconder, Councillor Nolan. Councillor Gallagher, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it's a very good committee meeting, and it also proves that the Broken Hill City Council is moving along greatly in relation to risk and improvement. It's chaired by an independent body, and they've only got only high recommendations and praise for the Broken Hill City Council as it moves forward in the future.
Thank you. Any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 5, Broken Hill City Council Report number 32/21, page 100, the investment report for February 2021. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Nolan, seconder. Councillor Clark. Councillor Nolan, do you want to speak to the motion?
Only briefly, Madam Mayor, to say that it's great to see that graph upticking a bit after dropping. But as a nation, we've still got a long way to go, and that's reflected in the performance of our investments. On the bright side, low interest rates mean for affordable borrowings, and we're getting on with the task of using money the best way it can be. And I've got nothing but appreciation for the way our financial matters are currently being handled. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It's carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Move to item 6, Broken Hill City Council Report number 33/21. It's the Companion Animal Management Report, page 113. I'll have a mover. Moved by Councillor Brown. Seconder. Second by Councillor Cool. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to the report?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Question, Madam Mayor.
What's your question, Councillor Kennedy?
Probably through the chair to the general manager, but if you can answer, it'd be good. I spoke last time about cats and a requirement for council. Did the general manager or the mayor come up with any way that council can fulfil its obligations?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. We're still looking at how we can do it, Councillor Kennedy. There is a cat desexing program that's about to commence, and I believe the council is going to put up a motion to Western Division to try and advocate for better legislation around cats as well.
That is one of the biggest challenges we have, is around the legislation as well. Thank you, councillors. There's no debate. No debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declared it carried. Thank you, councillors. Unanimous vote. Item 7, report number 34/21, page 144, the update on construction certification process. Can I have a mover for this report? Moved by Councillor Cool. Seconder, Councillor Adams. Councillor Cool, do you want to speak to the report?
No, Madam Mayor, but I do have a question of the General Manager.
What's your question, Councillor?
Through the Chair. More of a statement, really. I think Council needs to, or has it considered, traineeships in this field so that we can start growing our own and having that resource come up through the ranks? or any
Mr. General
consideration?
Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Certainly, so that's on the agenda at the moment. It'll be part of next year's budget to bring back in the trainee positions that we can train in-house to ensure that we've got the professional staff moving forward.
Thank you. Councillor Kennedy, you're speaking against?
No, I move an amendment. Thanks,
What's your
Madam Mayor.
amendment,
I
councillor?
move that the report be received and the council immediately adopt a process to ensure that construction certificates are caught up and kept within a reasonable timeframe.
Councillor
Second that.
Kennedy, councillor Allgate is seconding that. Councillor Kennedy, you want to speak to your amendment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, this can't be held against the current general manager, who's only taken up the job today and was acting in the position for a short amount of time. But I'm sure that the general manager would realise how important this is to the community and how important it is to the council to get on top of this. As a council, I think we need to provide the general manager with the resources that are required to give him the ability to resolve this situation as soon as he possibly can. There's no way that this situation is going to be able to be resolved without voting a budget item to give the general manager the opportunity to resolve this situation as quickly and as effectively as he needs to. Having said that, I will amend my amendment slightly to say that the general manager to deliver a report for the April meeting to tell council what the general manager would require to take care of the late construction certificates and to ensure new construction certificates dealt with in a timely manner.
Madam Mayor,
Other
I
question?
would
No, I'm
accept,
still-
I would accept that in the motion.
Sorry, I think councillor Kennedy's still going.
Look, if Councillor Coull's prepared to accept that, I'm more than happy for that to take place. I think Councillor Coull has acknowledged, and I'm sure all councillors acknowledge, and the management, how important this situation is, how critical it is to businesses in Broken Hill, and not just businesses, the community as a whole, and more than happy for Councillor Coull to accept that.
Okay, councillor Coull's going to accept that in his motion. Councillor Adams, as a seconder, are you happy with that?
I was just going to ask a question of the general manager if I
No,
may.
no, I'm
through-
asking you as a seconder, are you happy for that to be included in the motion? Okay, yep, okay, thank you. So it's included in councillor Coull's motion, so we don't need the amendment. Councillor Adams, you had a question of the general manager? Clarification?
Yeah, it was just a question in that when we're talking about what is required, is it financial, or are our greatest problem is actually getting assessors to come to the city?
Thank you, Mr. General
And will
Manager.
that improve? Are we positive that there would be an improvement in recruitment?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, it's certainly financial, and council did adopt an extra $50,000 at the last meeting to help us with contractors to catch up the backlog. So we've still got funds there available. The biggest problem we have is getting qualified staff to the city. We've been out recruiting for the last probably 4 months now, and we've had one successful applicant who withdrew earlier this morning. But what we are doing at the moment is we have got a contractor in place, and we've also got about 3 short-term contracts looking likely that we'll be able to commence just after Easter to catch up the backlog. That's their main focus. And then, as Councillor Cool said prior, we need to look at growing our own through trainees again.
Thank you, councillors. If there's no debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? And against, declared it carried unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 8, Broken Hill City Council report number 35/21. This is page 147, reappointment as manager of the Williama Common.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Moved by councillor Nolan,
Second that,
seconder, councillor Gallagher. Is there any debate? No debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, declared it carried. Move to item 9, report number, oh, sorry. We'll just wait for councillor Clark to leave the building, as she has declared a conflict of interest.
I have an amendment, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I'll just read the report and I'll go to councillor Adams. Broken Hill City Council report number 36/21, page 149. This is the application for new dwellings. Councillor Adams.
Yes, Madam Mayor, recommendation 1 as it is. And I would suggest that we defer a decision on this motion for community concern to be addressed.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that one.
Second by councillor Gallagher. Councillor Adams, do you want to speak to the motion?
I do, Madam Mayor. I defer to Mr. Olsen, who we are all well aware that is experienced in these matters, and I think it's only fair that we look at the list of concerns that he and others have before we make a decision.
Thank you, councillor. There's no debate.
Just a comment.
Councillor Orgoat.
I think this is a classic example of our lack of expertise in this area. Really, I know that staff shortages across the country, I think, in this particular area, but in our health and building section, we used to be right up with it. Now all of a sudden we're at the tail end making mistakes. If this DA had gone ahead without anybody commenting from the public, we could have found ourselves in really deep trouble.
I think the issue of private certificators is a problem. So thank you, councillors.
I'll speak against unless, I'll move an amendment unless councillor Adams accepts. I agree with what councillor Adams said, but I think
what's your amendment,
the
councillor?
amendment needs to be more detailed, and that is that it be received. And
So I'm going to take it as a foreshadowed because I need to put councillors.
well, councillor Adams's amendment is actually the motion. There is no motion on the
Sorry.
table except for councillor, which is just an amendment to what's written, not really an amendment. So councillor.
Thank you.
Yeah. The second part is that a be deferred and that a report be written outlining the technical concerns that Mr. Peter Olsen had with the application and the technical concerns that the other speaker had. And the reason I moved that's my amendment if I get a second.
Councillor Adams, did you want to include that into your motion?
Well, I personally think that that's what I would expect anyway from a report coming in as we look at the concerns. So, if Councillor Kennedy wants it expanded to that, that's fine.
No, the reason I say it is because there actually is concerns outlined in the report that have been addressed, and a lot of those are the same concerns. These are technical issues that have been brought up by Mr. Olsen as far as breaches of the legislation. So it's
Councillor Adams said she'll include it in her motion.
Yeah, and I was just stating that it wasn't being fussy. It's about making sure that the report comes back outlining the concerns, because it's important to me that those matters are addressed because they're legislative, and not just concerns, they're legislative.
Thank you, councillor. If there's no debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, councillor Nolan, councillor Brown, councillor Cool, it's a unanimous vote, councillors. Declare to carry. Can we ask councillor Clark to return, please? Now, councillor Cool wants to be a staff officer. Thank you, councillor Clark. The motion's been deferred to address the issues raised during the public forum. Thank you. We'll move now to item 10, Broken Hill City Council report number 37/21, page 172, the local traffic committee, moved by councillor Brown. Seconder, councillor Nolan. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to the motion?
I don't think so, Madam Mayor. The explanation and the account of the discussion is fairly complete there. So unless there are questions, I'll just move it.
Thank you.
Question, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Kennedy.
Probably through the chair to councillor Brown. I was contacted by Mark Sutton, who operates or helps manage the tourism business next to the art gallery there. Yep. So there's a photo and I'll send it through to councillor Brown. The parking goes right up to the actual ramp there and actually obscures the vision of cars reversing out. If I'll pass it through if you could bring it up.
Councillor Brown.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I believe that particular problem has been brought to the attention before. I can't, it was a couple of months ago, I can't recall, but yes, please send it back. The next meeting's in a week or so,
And just another question through the chair, probably to the general manager, and I'm sure, well, I know the mayor did get a copy of this, and that was a Mr. Howarth, whose car was damaged by a tree parked in Glen Street. If the general manager at the next meeting, or if he can now, could explain what council's obligations are as far as falling trees and damage to property and that sort of stuff. Probably better for next meeting, I'm not sure.
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll take that on notice and I'll get back next meeting.
Thank you, councillor. If there's no further debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declared it carried unanimous. We move to item 11, Broken Hill City Council Report 38/21, the action list, page 189. Do I have a mover? Councillor Nolan. Councillor Adams, second it. Questions?
Question and business arising from the action list. Last meeting, councillors did vote to look at no stopping, no parking signs, etc. at the Silver City Cinema. There was a petition going around the city that the management of the Silver City Cinema and the citizens of Broken Hill would like to request that the Broken Hill City Council create a drop-off zone in front of the cinema to make it easier for the elderly, frail people on walking frames, etc., to access the cinema. At present, there is no stopping, no parking sign on the footpath, so they cannot alight from the vehicle in this area. If you agree, please sign this petition. So I gave an undertaking that I would drop this to the mayor. There's close to 1,000, there was 960 signatures on this with another 60 that have to be collected. So I'll just hand that to the mayor.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Thank you. We note that we received the petition, and as Councillor Kennedy said, there was a motion in the last meeting. With that, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Thank you, councillors. We move to item 12, committee reports. Item 1 is Broken Hill City Council.
Move 1 to 4, Madam Mayor.
1 to 4. Is there a seconder? Councillor Clark. I just have to get 1 to 4. Is there no debate? If there's no debate, I'll put the items 1 to 4. All those in favour? Against? Declared it carried unanimous. And we note the Heritage Festival is being held this weekend for councillors and those in the public that haven't got their tickets. Please join us. Item 13 is questions taken on notice from previous council meeting. Do I have a page 242? Do I have a mover? Councillor Brown, second by Councillor LaCour. Is there any debate? No debate?
Yes, Madam.
Councillor Brown?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I can't find this. I'm just going on memory, but I think it's worth noting that the response to the question about the library, those report on the library, I think it's worth reminding people that a clear majority of people wish the library to be replaced, a new library and cultural hub. I think we tend to forget that we had extensive public consultation on this matter, and a majority of people want the library to be replaced.
Thank you, councillor. If there's no further debate.
Yeah, just a question on the questions. And I'm not sure if Councillor Brown has had the opportunity about the school bus zone at the public school.
We haven't had a traffic committee. It has been referred to the traffic committee.
Okay. No, Councillor Adams? No. Okay. If no further debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declared it carried. Thank you, councillors. Move to item 14, questions for next meeting arising. Councillors, is there any questions that we haven't captured?
I need one.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Adams.
Sorry, Councillor Kennedy. I know that it isn't connected to our to the business of tonight, but I think it needs to be raised tonight before things get worse. There are concerns about the 1919 railway station, and community members have come to me that the damage and the deterioration is getting worse. They have been into contact with Arctic, who has the responsibility of that. I have spoken to Arctic as well. They are having problems getting someone to do any work. I just would like to ask council, would they check the report that I believe was actually completed by Paul Davis about it, and perhaps contact Arctic to see if council can help in any way to try and save the station before it's completely gone.
So which railway station? We're referring to
The 1919 New South Wales Railway Station.
1919.
It is on the heritage listing.
Yep. Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Kennedy?
Yes, just one. And I suppose it's they're always on the agenda, really. The South Football Club has mentioned a risk with their footpaths, trip hazards. A lot of people use it. If someone could just have a look at that, I think it's important that we take care of those things as soon as we can. It's a considerable length of area there that.
Do you know what area?
Out the front of the actual
the club room itself,
the club room
not
itself.
the oval, the club room.
Club room.
Okay, thank you. No further questions for.
Just in relation to Councillor Adams and in regards to that 19.
Oh no, we're not debating. We're just taking
I'm not
questions.
debating. I was going to add to it.
That's okay. We'll just it's the questions for next meeting. Thank you.
That's precisely what I was adding to.
Oh, you're going to have another question?
No, I was just going to see if we could have some wording in there around contacting ARTC. That's Australian Rail Track Corporation. It may already be noted in Paul's report.
Information here that I'll hand to the council anyway.
Most excellent. Leave it at that.
Thank you. Teamwork tonight, teamwork. Thank you, councillors. There's no further questions. We move to item 15, confidential matters. Can I have a motion to go into closed session? Moved by Councillor Gallagher, seconded by Councillor Adams. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous vote. Carried. We'll ask comms manager to stop the live streaming.